Welcome back to the Nullified Take channel here on YouTube, where we've got the TNT takes for you on the challenge, episode 8. I should also say live on X at the same time as well. Kahuna, would you believe it? X is starting to become one of our more popular spots that we're streaming. More and more people are starting to watch us on that form, you know? So Elon has done some good for us, Kahuna.
The efficiency expert. Yeah, thank you, Elon. I guess get that name out there.
We'll take it if you're watching on
I don't
X.
praise Elon for a lot of stuff normally, but if he's getting us views, let's go.
Yeah, definitely. We'll jump on the X bandwagon. Hello, everybody in the live. We've got Chris here early on saying, hi, guys. Lena is saying, morning. Good morning to you as well, Lena. And Brittany is saying, good morning. This was a strong episode with applaud emoji as well. Totally agree, but we will be talking about all the action very soon here on the podcast. Bloody Money 47 is saying, Kahuna and Chris, are you not entertained on this episode? Were you entertained on this episode, Kahuna?
I was very entertained. Like, I was actually surprised how entertained I was, considering how the narratives of the season is kind of playing out. It's becoming a little bit formulaic as far as who's dominating, who's in the doghouse, who's like the strong alliances, blah, blah, blah. But we're seeing it sort of change up a little bit now. And despite the likes of a CT no longer being there, we've still got so many people putting on really good shows. And I really enjoyed this episode. Like, there was so much about it to love. Like, even the theme, like the gladiator thing, usually like the movie tie-in are so like cringy, like Puss in Boots 2 and all that sort of thing. But I feel like with Challenge, the Challenge is almost like the modern day gladiator. Like,
it's the arena. It's
the arena.
One-on-one.
Literally in the sand, blood in the sand.
If TJ's such a big fan, like he claims he is, why have they never called the arena the Colosseum or the Colosseum?
Yeah,
I would have thought it's a given. If TJ's a big fan, it should have been called the Colosseum this year.
It's the modern day equivalent. It 100% is. Like, you would think maybe something like UFC, things like that. But this is like, as far as Roman Colosseum. By the way, how often do you think about the Roman Empire? Just a bit of a meme question.
Not very often.
It came up today, that's for sure. It came up in my mind.
My Italian girlfriend hasn't brought it up yet, so I'll talk to her about this afterwards. So she's never spoken to me about the Roman, Empire or anything like that. So
it's too painful still. It's too painful.
Must be. But hopefully next year, I'm planning around maybe October next year, I'll go over to Rome and I'll get to see the real Colosseum. I reckon that would be pretty cool. Have you ever wanted to travel to Italy, Kahuna?
I mean, I'm a big fan of Italian food, but there's a lot of Italians there as well. So that's,
Julie, if you're listening, go like this.
No, I'd love to. I'd love to go to Italy. Like, such a place of rich culture and like I said, like when that meme came up a few months ago of ask your husband how often they think about the Roman Empire, like my wife asked me, and I was like, I didn't know the meme, I wasn't like part of it, but I went, all the time. And she was I said, what do you mean? I go, well, it depends what you mean. Our son is literally named Roman. Like, what do you want me? What do you want me to say? Like, it comes up. Like, we use toilets. We have roads. It's all. But today, the challenge is the perfect, like, because like, you think of sports, you think of UFC, you think of boxing, but really, like, as far as the Circus Maximus goes, the show, the entertainment of it, where if you are a successful gladiator, you get called back. And you get to be the gladiator that stays on every season. Like, they call them back when they put on a good show. And that Are You Not Entertained is literally the purpose of this gladiatorial process here and the challenge. And this episode, 100% bloody money. I was entertained. I loved it.
I can't wait to have some opinions that the live audience are not going to agree with tonight. Chris is already coming in early on saying Chris loves an excuse to bring up either Tony or his Italian girlfriend. I don't know if I've ever actually said that she was Italian on the podcast, but there you go. I think there's going to be a few more takes that people are going to really hate me for in this, because I've already seen a lot of people really annoyed with Casey having an opinion about Jenny West, right? What's your take on that? People are annoyed. They don't like Casey when she doesn't say anything, and when she speaks up, they don't like her even more. So, like, I feel like can Casey win when it comes to the challenge?
Look, I don't know if it's Casey's fault, to be honest with you, but it does feel like this season specifically, it's either doing her normal, like, Captain Obvious, this is what happened at the challenge, or very specifically and almost like pointedly just shitting on Jenny the whole time. Like anything that she has said is just anti-Jenny, like the whole time through.
Yeah, it's true.
When I was watching it today and she called out Jenny for not having the relationships and complaining about it, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? Casey's kind of right there. Like for everyone that hates Casey, her connections are obviously incredibly strong. Her social game that we never see must be off the charts. We saw a little bit of it in USA too, you know, a little bit of vibrant Casey, but she's playing a game that is not on the cameras because she's seeing, like, to call out someone for their connections when she doesn't show us any of her social, but is clearly incredibly strong in that regard. I just didn't like that she said, I have to remember that I'm playing with rookies. When Jenny got a chip before Casey did. Right?
It's true. Like, she's a champion. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if she meant, yeah, it is. Yeah. Now that I think about it, that's pretty disrespectful.
I watched it. I was wondering, because when I watched it sort of live during the day, but I'm watching during work and it's background, right? I take calls, I'm doing stuff, it's kind of on. But when I watched it the second time and I actually watched it, I feel like that bit specifically, I think it was edited.
I'm taking myself out of the moral high ground of who's correct here, Casey or Jenny. And I'm just thinking to myself, are you not entertained by this different Casey on the screen being a bit petty, giving us something? So
yeah,
regardless of if she's wrong or not, at least she's not a wallflower. You can't say she's bedroom furniture this season. She's got a personality. Even if you don't like it, she's doing something at least.
Oh, it's not that I don't like it. And she's
talking about the fans.
She's certainly bringing out some good ones as well, right? But I just wonder why it's only Jenny. Like why the only commentary they're pulling from Casey is,
but maybe it's because the rest of it is really boring and bland. So they're like, oh, finally Casey is annoyed with someone and she's saying something, so let's just double down on this because it's the only content we have from the cutting room floor. I also wanted to say, you know, another person who was complaining, Kahuna, a lot. I actually I listened to the whole Bananas podcast between Bananas and Wes last week. I don't know if it was the week before. I feel like it was the week before. Just came on my feed on X, and I then watched it. And it was funny. I actually watched it for Wes because I'm definitely way more of a Wes fan than a Bananas fan. And a couple of people, even in the comments section, said you can clearly see how Bananas is still not aged and grown, but Wes has matured so much, which I agree with. You know, Bananas is still the same person he was 10 years ago. And he was complaining a lot about, oh, you know, they're just ghosting me this season. I've done so much for the franchise. Like, I'm one of the biggest characters. I'm the GOAT and all this kind of stuff, you know. And then the very next episode, we've got Ryan, after I've seen this, say, I'm moving out of the room. I'm tired of Bananas talking about how great he is and how many times he's won. And I just can't have it. Yes, we're all middle-aged now. And then they give us this montage of Bananas just going on a rip. And it's all about how great he is. It was brilliant from production doing that. And I've got to say, I feel like this is a sign of them saying, we're starting to get, we're getting over Bananas. We're going to move on from him in the future. This is the sign of it's like the baton is being handed over now. Don't know to who yet. I feel like Devin, but again, it's being handed over.
It's definitely a vibe because he is not playing the same role in the storylines. He's not having the same impact socially. He's not having as big an impact on the season as a whole, despite being a target like so many times. There's just not a lot of Bananas screen time, which is really interesting. I think the mantle is being passed, and they're seeing he's obviously done his other TV shows. He's done House of Villains. He branches out a lot. He's also getting up there in age. And I'm wondering if they're looking next. I got the vibe today watching it, and I was a little bit not necessarily annoyed, but I don't know if it sits on him that well. But I feel like Jordan is taking the role of like the elder statesman who's like
that's very true.
Yeah, like he's like when he called out Derek, you know, he kind of takes the like I'm above the competition. I don't get into that kind of stuff now.
But I
Play it
actually
as
did
a-
agree. I did actually
Yeah.
kind of agree with Jordan on that take. Obviously, you know how I feel about people when their backs
Turning
are
it-
turned and like disrespect, like, and he was the
Jordan
very
said
guy who
it
it happened
too.
to.
Jordan's traumatized by Emmanuel. It still lives in his
Yeah,
head.
yeah. What's that song?
Emmanuel
In
turned his
your
back on Jordan. Jordan's like,
head.
you can't do stuff to the back, man. Do it to the face.
Exactly, exactly.
You know what?
That was a funny moment.
I actually don't agree with Jordan.
Oh,
No,
really?
I do
Okay.
agree with Jordan. Sorry, I do
Okay,
agree
I was
with
just gonna
Jordan.
say, like, I thought, like, what I know you like to play the heel on the show, Kahuna, but like, where are we going with this?
No.
Like,
I
how
was
can you
gonna say-
possibly feel it's okay for someone to throw a jacket on the back of someone else? He could have injured Corey.
Yeah, he said you sound a lot like Corey right now, actually, when Derek was like, come on, dude. Like you're crying about a vest. Like, relax. Like he could have injured him. Like, I do think it was pretty shitty from Derek to do that.
Yeah,
I agree with Jordan, but in the Corey Derek thing,
yeah.
at first I was like, I'm on Corey's side, which is weird. But then when I rewatched, I was like,
You've
actually,
turned this
Derek,
season though. Corey's reeling you in slowly.
you know, the challenge doesn't do the edit, but I feel like he's getting a really good.
He's getting a massive. Like, I mean, at the moment, it's early days. Like, I mean, I'm even like, I don't like to say winners edit, like, because I don't know about winners edits on the challenge, but it feels like this is as close as a winners edit as you're gonna get. Like,
Yeah,
we're constantly seeing things from his side.
He's got the underdog thing. He's got the big chip on his shoulder. Like, he's looking really impressive. And I said it last week as well, but this week kind of added even more to that.
I want to stop before we go too far down the Corey train, because obviously there's a lot that we need to talk about when it comes to Corey later on. But I want to go back to just read a couple of comments here and see what people are saying. What are the feelings? Like, what are we thinking? Bloody Money saying, Chris, Kahuna, do you guys watch House of Villains season 2 featuring Wes? I haven't, but because Wes is in it, I'm going to watch season 2 because I'm a big Wes fan. And I just feel like Wes is going to do really well. I mean, he's pumping and hyping this season like crazy in the preseason, so I can't see how he doesn't do well if he's going everywhere talking it up, you know? So hopes are high. Dana's saying, hi, guys. It's midnight for me. Dana, I thought you were in the States. Like, I guess some places in the States it could be. They're behind, maybe? No. You tell us where you're from, Dana? Like, where's it midnight right now? Like, I feel
New
like...
Zealand. That's New Zealand.
Must be New Zealand. Right. Bloody Money 47 saying, Casey roasts Jenny again. Casey wants Jenny to be a rival. Wow,
That's
what a
bad
pair
choice.
that would be. I mean, like if they go into a rival season, we talk about this every week.
Oh,
You never know when that rival season's finally going to happen, Kahuna. I mean, if there's a real life action hero, gladiator, and if we needed to make a doll to feature for the challenge as a gladiator, that would be Jenny West. She is chiseled. I mean, the girl is, she's built, right, Kahuna?
You know what's funny though? Like, as chiseled and as ripped as she is, I feel like she's trimmed down. Like the other times she was more like jacked. Now she's definitely like cut and fit and trimmed.
She's ready for the final.
Yeah, she's looking like far out. She was looking really good in this episode as well. Like,
she gets to the final, I'm telling you, it's over.
Daily,
give her the check.
I can see why they're not protecting her. Like, why would you want to have her go at the end, kind of thing, you know? So
100%.
No one's gonna stick up for her when that's your opposition.
I agree. Brittany is saying, I loved Casey's takes because she's too petty. Casey is clearly annoyed by her, but Casey really is the queen of the social game. That is very true. Chris is saying there's no single rookie on this season. Literally what is Casey talking about? Yeah, there is no rookie. I think if you had to say someone is a rookie, who's the most rookie of them all? Avery? Probably.
No,
maybe Kylan.
Yeah,
Kylan and Avery have played the same amount of seasons.
Olivia's
played less seasons. No, I think Olivia's on par with them. I think Olivia, Kylan, and Avery would be the rookies.
Oh, they're on their third?
Yeah, I think they're all on their third.
Okay.
Someone in the chat will correct us on that. I'm sure they'll have the receipts.
Well,
Brittany's saying,
oh no, Nerys and Horacio would have been 3 as well.
Yeah, they would have been. They would have been 3 as well. Yeah, there's a few people.
That's why when Casey said that, I feel like it was editing magic. I don't think she was talking specifically about Jenny, and I feel like maybe it was early on in the season or something where they're talking about the fact that she's got like Horacio, Kylan, Nerys, Olivia all on the one team, and I was like, I feel like that they took it and put it on Jenny when it maybe wasn't. I don't know.
Yeah,
She's
it's
not a
like
rookie.
how Kylan agreed with Laurel against Cara Maria, and then it came out afterwards. He's like, that was completely for something different than what happened on our screens. Like, you can never trust the editors fully. When the magician's trick is out of the hat, you know, it doesn't look like magic anymore to us viewers when we watch it. Brittany's saying, I think Casey was trying to say that Jenny keeps complaining without doing anything to actually change her situation. I agree with you, Brittany. That's what I got from it as well. And I don't like it when people are just like, oh, poor me, nothing's going to change. It's like, well, don't listen to people. Throw in who you want to throw in, which I do think that is what she did with Theo this episode. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. Lena saying Casey is envious, but she is smart at bonding with people that has good connections. Those connections are starting to wear down. So this is what is making the season very interesting. And we will talk about that. Chris saying, I'm glad we are getting something from Casey. Lena saying Bananas and Wes has amazing TV chemistry. Totally agree with that. Brittany saying Bananas complained last night about not getting enough screen time. Bro, there's 40 people. It's not always about you. Completely right. But this is what happens. Like, you know, narcissists make, and I'm not saying he is one. He's got some tendencies. I don't want him to be coming at me. It's got some tendencies. But that kind of personality type really, I think, is what feeds into good reality TV characters. Brittany saying Jordan is definitely taking the big brother mentor role. Totally agree. Brittany's also at him complaining on Twitter. Don't get it. He's getting a good amount of screen time, lots of attention, just not 100% of the attention. Corey got humbled. He thought he was going to smoke Derek in the elimination. Definitely a very impressive performance by Derek, and we'll talk about that. Lena saying, I agree. I think Corey could win. I do think he's got a really good, good case. I feel like, Dana, we've asked you this before. I'm going to try and remember it next time in a way. It makes sense. It makes sense. Lan saying, love Corey's edit. Agree with you, Lan. Chris is saying, I guess technically Kylan only has 2 seasons on the main challenge, 3 if you include him on USA. I kind of do include the USA as seasons because I do think some of those seasons have been pretty competitive. I guess if you think about it, they don't go up against the main show. So yeah, I mean, it's getting all blurry these days. Like I do count it.
Oh no, was he USA 1 or USA 2?
He's USA good question. 1. Yeah.
So that wasn't with the Tories and Bananas and all that.
And he's the only one from the USA that made it over to the main show from memory as well. I don't think there's anybody else that's actually that started on USA that actually migrated over to the main show, right?
No, you're right, actually.
And it's a good choice. I think it's a good choice. So let's get into it a little bit more. We had the Ryan moment. We have I think just one more moment before we get into the daily probably to talk about. I did find it kind of interesting while Casey was shit talking, for lack of a better word, Jenny, Michelle was out there hustling, building connections with Jenny, pumping her up, making sure she's not losing motivation to be in the game. And I kind of think Casey's being caught asleep at the wheel a little bit here. Embrace the person. Maybe you don't want to stroke the ego a little bit. Maybe it's tiring if they're constantly in a down mood, but Michelle's doing what Michelle does. She's great at the social game and she's building connections, even though she gets annoyed with the advice that she gives Jenny, being that you have to play your own game and don't worry about other people. When Jenny does do whatever she wants and doesn't listen to Michelle later in the episode, I did think that it was a good moment there for Michelle, at least trying to build that bridge, right, Kahuna?
Yeah, I guess if I think about it now, I'm trying to all the repercussions and all that sort of thing. The fact that Casey keeps banging on about Jenny not having the relationships and the connections, I guess it's almost beneficial for someone like Casey, and it should be beneficial for someone like Michelle to have someone in your team be a constant option as a target, to be that shield that, if you're a team that hasn't decided to rotate, I'd be like, yeah, cool. I'm happy that Jenny's always going to be picked and always going to be an option because she doesn't have those connections. Michelle to bring her in so that she doesn't become the target of a Jenny that will win eliminations and come back into the house and, get picked. That's a smart move, but I don't think it's more of a defensive move than it'll be good to have her in my corner. It would be more like, it'll be good to not have her go against me, that sort of thing, I think. So yeah, benefit in that regard, but socially, Jenny just doesn't bring that much to the table, which is why maybe Casey's like, I don't see the benefit of embracing her in that regard, and I'm happy to have someone be a Shield as an option that's out there that is unliked.
Yeah. I saw some people obviously throw some shade at Casey online about the fact that she never jumped in and she's playing a scared game and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I applaud you, girl. Like, don't go in there if you don't need to. Never nominate yourself. Like that's the way to get to the end.
You know? Smart game.
Yeah, she's playing a smart game. People hate it. So be it.
Actually, scared game's not a smart game. There's a difference between those two, right?
What do you mean a scared game? No, a scared game definitely isn't always, because it depends on when you're scared. You shouldn't be scared to make a move that benefits you. Correct. Like we see a lot of people, and this is where I do applaud Theo and Jenny West. They were always going to do their own thing, and why not? They're in the bottom. I thought it was very interesting in the early stages of this episode where Derek was coming up to Theo, and it's probably another reason why this episode was this was my favorite episode to date for this season. And the reason for it being is that we're starting to see a little bit more Theo's game. Like he's kind of just been nowhere. And I think Theo is such a presence on this season. And the more Theo content we get, the better. And I really love the fact that we got to see a little bit where he is socially and strategically in this game, where he's like, no one else is talking game with me. No one else is promising me anything in the game. So if Derek's going to come out to me, I'm going to do it. And I also love the fact that even in the middle of the daily, he didn't go back on his word. Like he was like, nah, Derek came to me first, Corey. I don't care. I'm sticking to the word that I had with Derek prior to coming into the daily. So those are all things where I'm like, you know, I really am rooting for Theo in this game. Like he's someone I can get behind.
I mean, I love Theo. Like he should be. I think on a long enough timeline, if he didn't have the injury, if he was still coming back and all that, he would have won multiple championships by now. He's
would have had at least
an Olympic level athlete, like that is 6'8" and is now bulked up bigger than like CT and stuff. But I don't think he's lost the athleticism because he's a monster, and he seems to be incredibly likable. He shines on TV. Controversial question, Chris. I'll pose it to you now. We've talked many times in the past about how much of a disadvantage or English as a second language speakers are on this show. They often get left out of things and blah, blah, blah. Do you think that when you look at a show like this, when language is not a barrier, but both Jenny West and Theo... Geography, are they being almost shunned or like
for two reasons?
Yeah, like do you think that's
for two reasons? I think this is a problem. Like, firstly, yes, even if they were someone that came onto the show season after season, if you think back about someone like Kyle, like eventually Kyle worked his way into the inner workings of the USA alliances, and he had some people he could rely and trust on, but he was never like anybody's main guy. He was always like their third or their fourth choice, right? In those alliances. So I feel like geography comes into play because we've spoken about this. There is no chance for you to be on the vacation alliance to go for a road trip on the weekend or just to hang out more frequently. You're going to become closer friends with people that are in close proximity to you, right? So that's a massive disadvantage that people from the UK have to work on when they come over to a show, which is a USA-based franchise where 80 or 90% of the players are going to be from the USA every single season, right? So that's one problem. Now, it's compounded by the fact that Jenny and Theo have not been coming back every season. They haven't chosen. Like, Theo should 100% have been in last season on that season. He should. I do not understand why Battle for a New Champion didn't have Theo on it. Yeah. You know, you should just be building this guy up. And it's like Brittany is saying, what are they doing? They kind of push him to the side. He has all the tools of a champion and a good character on the show, but it feels like they're not fully committing to Theo as a character that we should get behind.
He's British.
Do you think that that's why the production team's not doing it? Or
I don't look. I'm going to say something. I'm going to be a little bit biased, and I'll give you an insight into the way my mind works. Yeah. For the longest, like since I was 4 years old, I've been a really big fan of wrestling, pro wrestling and stuff. And the last 3 days, I binge watched this Vince McMahon documentary on Netflix, and how they, like in wrestling, it's a show, but they manipulate the outcomes and blah 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 blah. And Vince McMahon would push up up to stardom and give them big opportunities who they wanted to be their champion. We've talked many times about who's the face of the challenge. Is Tori the female face of the challenge? Taking over from Cara Maria is the face of the challenge. Bananas is the face of the challenge. Blah blah blah. Who's next? Is it going to be a Horacio? But will Bunham Murray pick an English person to be the star and get the push on an American-based show? Is that is that
I
a
don't think
question
it's a
we ask
problem.
as non-Americans?
I could be naive in this, and the live audience can tell us what they think. But I don't think that anybody from the States would care. Maybe I don't know. I don't know if you're saying maybe production is worried that the fans wouldn't want like a 2-time, 3-time British champion coming over every season winning against the Americans. I just don't think that fans would care that much. Like, and maybe I'm naive because I've traveled so much and it's not a big deal to me. But maybe that tribalism is a big thing in the States, and maybe I'm being super naive to it. Like, so it's possible. I just don't think it's a thing. So in the live, let us know what you guys think about it. And I want to move on from this. I want to segue while people give us their thoughts on it. We've gone back and forth many a times, Kahuna, on Tori's performances on the challenge. You've been a big Tori fan since day one. You've flown that flag high. You've said she could be one of the greats. At one point you said she was, but now I know we've gotten you to the point of saying she's on her way. She's not quite there yet, but man, do you have to give your flowers to Tori for this daily. She beat Cara Maria and Laurel to tagging her, both of them at the same time, with the whole of Era 4, which had Jenny West and Casey, everybody, and she, man alone or woman alone, stayed in this. Like, Tori's a beast, Kahuna. Like, put respect on that girl's name. Like, there's no doubt that the physicality that she has needs to be respected when you can keep both Cara Maria and Laurel at the same time, prevent them from pushing you out of the ring. Plus, there was some stacked girls on, like, Olivia's no slouch either. You know, she was going up against like 5 people. Why are we not hearing enough fans raving about this?
Because no one gives her flowers. People hate Tori. I don't necessarily know why. I don't think she has a bad enough personality. Like, I don't see it, but purely based on performance, like, this woman is strong. She has been pretty close to the top of the pack since her rookie season. Like, she's never ever really floundered on this show. Like, there was never finding her feet. There was never any of that. She got straight into alliance. She performed strong physically. I don't know why the hate towards her. Maybe because she is kind of seen as the rival or the next Cara Maria, and they did have that really bad season. So maybe that's part of it. I don't know, because, you know, she was coming for the fan favorite, or for the longest time he was the fan favorite. But
I think it's because she's production's favorite. I think people don't like it when production chooses the favorites for the fans.
Yeah, it could be very much that. But
and they're like, no, don't push this person on us. Don't push them on us. Like, we will decide.
If I was production, I could see why. Like, she turns up and works strong. Like, she gives them what they want from a TV show. Like,
when's the last time that Tori jumped on a live to complain about a loss that she had in the arena, explain that the game is rigged? Like, when last did Tori do that, Kuna?
Yeah, exactly. She's not afraid to get into showmances. She gets a bit messy. She gets into strategy. Her confessionals, like, she's funny and doesn't take herself too seriously. She has a bit of the. I think it was also like that season where she did get a bit full of herself, and her and Anissa had that Mean Girls thing. Like, I forget who it was against. But, you know, there's maybe that. But I think she's a good performer, and I don't necessarily base it on, you know, personality and all that. But again, today she showed exactly why. Like,
listen, you've got to give her respect. I know that Brittany here is saying, well, Tori ran away, very smart, but wouldn't say beat because Laurel did push her off her feet, but she then got up and created distance. I saw it very differently. She definitely did stay away, very smart, agree with you, but then they were on her. There was no distance between her and this group of 5 women that were trying to push her off this platform. Like, there was no running away from that situation. Like, she stayed there. But one thing we probably need to point out, because like, I like to look at all angles, by the way, Kuna. I'm not just going to be like I try and be as and people know, like, Cara Maria is my girl. Like, I stick with her all the time. So me giving Tori credit here and saying she beat Cara in this scenario and actually stayed, that should be seen as, like, I'm going to be unbiased. But, you know, when you look at it in an unbiased way, she was on the ground when they were pushing her towards the end. Why did she not get DQ'd like Theo did? Because Theo got DQ'd for the very same reason. When people were on him and he couldn't stand up, they weren't really giving him the opportunity to stand up. We saw a similar shot with Tori being on her knees, hands on the ground, pushing back against the girls. I'm pretty aware of that. I don't know. It felt like it was being treated a little bit differently between the two of them.
Where was Tori? Because I feel like Theo was on the edge when he
Theo
had
was
that.
in
So
the
maybe
middle.
there was
Tori was close to the edge. Theo was in the middle when it
Ah,
happened. So I feel like,
I don't know.
and again, we don't know if there was this is the problem with an edited show. We don't know if how many times it happened with both of them. Maybe
How long?
Theo got like 4 or 5 warnings. This was the first time we
Yeah.
saw that one shot of Tori, but I'm just pointing it out.
Yeah.
That seemed to, and again, this is the problem when you've got an edited show and you've got people like us being hyper aware of every single move that everyone's making. But anyways, throwing it out there. Let's see what people are saying. Brittany's saying, I loved how Nehemiah referred to Era 2 as Destiny's child before the breakup. That was such a good comment. Like, Nehemiah's been bringing it every now and again, and I'm loving the bromance or the alliance that's happening between him and Corey. Like, Corey needed his Nelly T, and Nehemiah is providing something for him on this season. As
Funny,
I don't know.
Funny story. Destiny's Child breakup. I went to their concert the day they broke up in Sydney.
Wow.
Like they
That's
came,
crazy.
they were four.
Did you tell?
The first
Did you tell
time.
the performance was off?
Times. No, it was before Michelle, when they got Michelle in. So it was originally four Destiny's Children. And then they came to Sydney and performed that night with 3. And we were all like, what is happening? Where's the other child of Destiny? And it turned out that they kicked her out, and that's when it became the 3. Like, it was originally 4. They kicked her out in Sydney, or she didn't come to Sydney, and then they became the 3 Destiny's Children, which was fun.
Right. I didn't even know. It's like just slightly before my time, I feel like, because I didn't even know that there were 4. I remember the Survivor song being 3.
It was 1998.
Yeah, I didn't pay attention. Lena saying that was funny. And Brittany says, agreed. I love Theo, and I don't like how the show pushes him to the side. We did read this earlier. Lena saying, I don't agree. I believe Theo is always with Olivia. They don't want another romance storyline. I mean, I guess they've got Devin and Michelle this season, so they don't need to focus on 2 showmances too much. Brittany said they did commit to him on War of the Worlds 1 and 2, but I did hear that the UK people are more expensive because they are popular in their country and they have agents who know how to negotiate. That actually does make a lot of sense because the UK people have normally got more followers online as well.
Yeah. Well, they're big shows there as well, like Geordie Shore.
Dana said, didn't Theo say that's why he was on World Champions? Because if he didn't get hurt, he would have won at least one by then, but maybe he was joking. Yeah, like he seems to have a joking personality from what Troy's told us as well. He's like that. We just don't see a lot of it. Brittany says, well, Tori ran away. We've read that one. Lena says, Carl was on Zach's podcast, but Geordie Shore wouldn't approve. So Brittany, you could be correct. Brittany saying, Tori did give Cara a good push, though. Thumbs up. Chris is right. Tori's rise felt very forced. She was pushed before she even won anything. They don't push someone like Cam in the same way. Totally agree. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Lena saying, sorry, I left a part of. Geordie Shore would not allow Carl to compete on 40. That's unfortunate. Chris is saying, I think we saw different things. The edit of the daily was strange. Totally agree. Lance said, to be honest, personality-wise, I prefer to see Olivia and Theo showmans over Devin and Michelle's. Yeah, I mean...
Personality-wise, Devin's killing it, man.
Devin's killing it on all fronts, mate. Like, what's going on with Devin? Like, I feel like the strategy's there. He's got Michelle in his corner now. Like, he's just sitting pretty. He's got Tori with him, you know. I picked him.
Really good position.
People were giving me so much flack in the beginning of the season when I picked him as my first male pick. I kind of feel justified at this point. I've lost track of the points. I don't know how much, but he's constantly in the confessionals.
Yeah, he's killing it confessional-wise.
He's narrating the season for us, kind of at this stage. And I feel like he's gonna take out Bananas very soon. Like he's got his sights set on him.
They've laid a few seeds there, haven't they? That they're kind of planting something. That's for sure. Yeah.
So it's very interesting. Let's see what other people are saying here. Personality-wise, yeah. Olivia for me can come and go. I don't know. Like, I don't hate her. I don't hate any of these characters, but I don't necessarily support or root against her. I'm very neutral on Olivia at this stage. How do you feel about Olivia? She's been a non-entity this season, though, Kahuna. So it's hard to we're coming off what she did to Nerys and Horacio last season is probably like our most. And then she's had some fun moments though. I will give it to her. That moment where she was like with the camera, like turn it to Devin and Michelle. That was a good moment. I've got to give her some flowers for that.
Look, at Ride or Dies, I bought all the Olivia stock I could. I was like, sell all my other stock. I'm putting Olivia in my portfolio. I want all of that. And I felt like it was a bad investment last season, but I still have it. I still have Olivia stock that I'm holding on to. I might be the only one on Olivia Island, but I am hoping that stock goes through the roof at some point, because I think she does have a lot of what the show's looking for. Like, she's obviously incredibly photogenic. She seems to not shy away from drama. She's either going to be in showmances or get a bit messy with friendships and stuff, like with Nerys, like didn't back down from that. I'm hoping when she finds a bit of her personality that's not so heavily tied to Horacio, she felt like she had a big, like, not standing on her own 2 feet. She was in Horacio's shadow, and then she was in the drama of Nerys' shadow last season and kind of didn't know how to go about navigating playing on her own with Michelle and that whole thing, and kind of fell into this coward hole, which everyone labeled her with. I'm hoping she can be her own thing, because I still like her a lot.
Yeah. Brittany's saying, shocking of how little screen time Olivia is getting. I think she has the best potential out of the lot of newbies this far. Do agree with that as well. So when we look at the daily, what did you think of the daily, Kuna? Did you like it? For me personally, I'm a big fan of anything physical.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that ended up with bandages on their faces afterwards, though. A lot of people got cut up a little bit. Who were the people who stood out? Like we spoke about Tori, who really rised over to the occasion. I thought Josh was phenomenal, which is another take that people are not going to like. He really put that
Jordan.
Yeah, he dicked Jordan, got him to the ground. Like, and I bet you people are going to be like, yeah, there was a reason Jordan was off balance, or he got him pretty good.
Josh is a big dude, man. He's like 6'3", and like he's not a little guy at all. So that's a game where we've talked many times about where Josh's deficiencies lie, and it's not in size and strength. It's in coordination, athleticism, skill, hand-eye, all that sort of thing.
How would Josh have done in this arena if he was blindfolded and he needed to box?
Yeah. Oh, maybe, because he's just swinging wildly there. But in this one, it's just like run into things with your weight. Yeah, he can do it. It's pretty good for him. Look,
he had the war scars. He had the war scars afterwards. He had the bandages.
He didn't sit back. That's for sure.
He, unlike Avery, who was protecting the moneymaker, he was putting it all on the line.
You know what? Again, I feel like the edit did something funny there, because they were going on about her moneymaker, and then we see the elimination just get her
dicked,
pummeled in the I wonder where that confessional was. Was it on the daily, or was it where she was getting punched in the face repeatedly? Where did they edit that out of, her commentary? I do love the physical nature of it. It was so much fun. It was also one of the rare dailies where I feel like, oh my God, I would like to do that. That looks like where I could actually smack people. That looks like fun. But I do think in the format of the season, when it's teams based and we had Derek and Rachel just being
they had no chance.
Like it's broken, right? Like, it's at that point, it's like, well, what's the point? Derek was always going to come last unless you eliminated an entire team and have 0 people left. Like, they had 0 chance, and that's just feels really anticlimactic coming into a challenge which on paper and visually everything was all so much fun, but there's just that little bit of like, well, what are they supposed to do here? Like, I don't know if it's the timing thing.
I feel like if I was Derek, but the problem is he wasn't fighting for himself, he was fighting for Rachel as well. But I was thinking, if I was Derek, I almost would have just been like, I'll bounce out. Like, this is an uneven playing field. I'd rather save the leg for whatever is ahead in the arena rather than mess my leg up even further, because really both him and Rachel had no chance to win this one. It was very unfairly lopsided against them. Some people will argue, well, the teams who had the advantage earned that advantage by winning a lot of dailies or winning arenas to be in the spot that they're in the game. It's not like it's the opening of the season. So they kind of earned their way to have this advantage going into the daily. But I can definitely see how you can look at it from 2 sides of the coin. The other thing for me is also what makes Derek such a great challenger. And I think Derek is someone whose stocks started going down on All Stars. He was quite high when we looked at him in All Stars 1 coming back. Everybody was high on him. I even chose him as like my second guy pick, I think, that season. And he just fell down our picking order for all of us, the trial, whenever we did our drafts. He's kind of right back up there. Like the main show is where he belongs. He doesn't belong on All Stars. All Stars is not the pace that we need him at. We need him going up against these young kids because he's still got it. He still has that dog in him that I think a lot of new kids don't even have. And this is what makes him such a great competitor, Kahuna, is the fact that he doesn't back down. He's not going to take the easy road. He's gonna go until they put him in an ambulance, basically. And I don't think there's many people still around in this new era of the challenge that will actually lose a limb for the game. Like he is probably one of the few people that will be up there when it comes to that dedication to the show. Wouldn't you agree?
I would 100% agree with that. And I'm also a little bit conflicted about it. Like, because there's a part of me that's like, that is freaking badass, the heart, the determination, all that sort of thing. But then there's a part of me, whether it's the parent, the middle-aged man, the middle manager in me that's just like, oh, that's dumb. That's really not smart for your long-term health, your well-being, your career.
Yeah.
Like the health system in America, Derek, what are you doing? Like,
yeah,
like, you know what I mean?
Totally.
He's like setting himself up for so much pain. And I'm like, there's that conflicting him. I'm like, where's medics? Take him off this game. It's really unfair. Like, it's not a good, if he's too dumb to look after himself, someone needs to. But at the same time,
there needs to be a grown-up in the room.
There needs to be a grown-up in the room. That's right. Because the fact that you said grown-up in the room is so fitting for your analysis on Derek on All-Stars versus the main show, where the All-Stars are grown-ups. And we saw Derek with his Hawaiian shirt and that chill vibe that he had that season, where I was like, what is this character that he's doing?
Yeah.
When we all know this is what Derek is the freaking pit bull that everyone keeps banging on about.
He doesn't fit in All-Stars.
Yeah, like the vibe. It's a vibe check, right? It's a little bit more chill. It's a little bit more relaxed. And maybe he went, hey, that's my age now. These are my people. But he's got that dog in him, like you said, that hasn't aged at all. That's still just like, and he'll still just throw himself.
Gun to the head, Kahuna.
So violently.
Gun to the head. King Cash is saying, who's the top 5 challengers with that dog in them? So I'll start. You go afterwards, and we'll see if we can go without stopping. So I'll start with CT. Who do you have, Kahuna?
Jordan.
Yeah, I'd say Cara Maria.
Cara Maria definitely has it.
Easy one for you. Come on.
Tori's got it.
Yeah, Laurel.
Laurel,
those. Like, I thought you were gonna go like straight there, but isn't it funny how immediately we got 4 women there? Tori, Laurel, Cara Maria, and then we've got Jordan and CT, all great competitors. But we did not mention the GOAT himself, Bananas, who was the first person out on this daily.
Yeah.
Like, after talking himself up, being the greatest of all time, having this big rant on, the confessional part of it, and then really not living up to that sort of expectation that's out there of someone who's calling themselves the GOAT.
Especially because there's so much of this daily specifically that I think you could have got away with being a little bit more smart about it. Like we saw Derek C on Era 2, like really sitting back. We saw Tori running away and sitting on the edges and playing it a little bit smarter, which is usually where Banana sees the angles, right?
Yeah.
He knows how to game the system. He'll throw people in front of him. I think there's also an element, to be honest with you, Banana's team, as far as males go, like when you're looking at that team and you go, okay, we've got Derek, we've got Ryan, Nehemiah, and Bananas. Who do you target first to get out of this game?
Sorry, who did you say between Bananas, Nehemiah, and
Ryan and Derek?
Yeah, you got to go Bananas.
Yeah, right.
100%. Yeah.
So that's like
it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. King Gash is saying not even putting Derek in the top 5 to disrespect. I said, you may have missed it, if we don't take Derek into account. Derek is an automatic. We wanted to have top 5 people who had the dog in them similar to Derek. And I think that even after this, you probably should put Corey's name in that bracket because he's starting to become that. Did you know that, Kahuna, Corey now has 7 wins in his last 8 eliminations? He's won 10 eliminations out of 14 in total. He's starting to get up the rankings as one of the best elimination specialists that the challenge has ever seen. I think there's only like 2 or 3 people ever that have gone 7 from 8 in the history of the show. Like the guy statistically, he's a force to be reckoned with. And, you know, when you're taking out somebody like Derek, even on one leg, like it's still pretty impressive. Like, you know, you just know Derek's not going to quit.
Well, I saw statistically that this elimination actually leapfrogged. So Corey overtook Derek in win percentage with that win. So before today or before this week, Derek was ahead of Corey. And that shows you're right. Like Corey definitely has that dog in him because Derek is seen as, at least elimination wise, one of the best. Rachel called him the GOAT, which is freaking weird for Rachel. Like he's not even like second tier. Obviously he's in a position of his own as far as physical elimination specifically. We've never thought Derek as a particular strategic force in this game. You know, he's never really done a lot besides showing that dog, which we're talking about.
Can I tell you who's gonna potentially show us this season if they've got the dog in them? Which probably some people will even say, "Why didn't you mention them today?" But I think if this person survives until the end of this game, you're gonna have to say up there is Rachel. Like she's the only person left for Hero 1. She's gonna go in every single time moving forward in the game. She's going to have to win her way to the end, Kahuna. Like, if Rachel can find a way to go into each arena, eliminating girl after girl from another era, wouldn't you say that's someone that's got some dog in them? And I feel like we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. She's starting to wake up. The Rachel, the champion, the person's like, I'm freaking Rachel. I'm one of the best challengers ever. I'm like, I'm a big deal. Like, we're seeing that fight in her wake up. You know, even the way she approached this elimination was impressive.
She's looking amazing. Like I talked about last week on a season of a murderer's row of casts, potentially the strongest, biggest, best cast in the history of the show. I said, if Corey wins this, it's amazing. Like for that to be his first win, blah, blah, blah. It's even amplified, like narrative wise, for if Rachel wins this, if she goes through, who's left now is a Cara Maria, a Laurel, a Tori, like it's insane. The Casey, like so many champions left with her by herself, me against the world.
And also the person who's been out of it the longest.
Man, like I don't know if she's going to win, but I feel like I'm getting like, this is like sports, like the script writers couldn't write this, right? Like if this actually turns out the way it's going, which I don't think it will, like how does she win from here? Like I don't know.
I'm leaning edit wise for the females. I'm leaning Jenny or Rachel at this point. I feel like they both are getting pretty strong edits, but it could also just be because they're both in the underdog situation. Cara hasn't had as big of an edit like she's had in some previous seasons, but I think it's just because of the level of personalities that are around this time. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's too early to tell at this stage. And also the format obviously can still change in the game moving forward as well. Brittany's saying what Bananas did in this daily is why I think people don't automatically give him the GOAT status, even though he's won the most. He's looking for the easy way out. Sometimes you've just got to leave it all on the line. And we spoke about, I would have probably done the Bananas thing in some ways, but it's not great for TV. And that's why Derek is up there. King Cash saying Paulie has an argument.
Oh, for having dog in him. Yeah, he does.
Yeah, like, he does. It's just, I feel like in Paulie's case, like I do like Paulie, and I think he's a needed character on the challenge. I just want to start with that because I think he brings a lot of drama and it's fun to watch and everything. But Paulie, for me at this stage, has the dog in him.
It's a yapping chihuahua.
Yeah, he hasn't necessarily backed it up yet. And I'm here for Paulie coming in and backing it up. I would be very happy for him if he did. Like, I kind of feel like if there's ever been someone that really needs a W, it's Paulie, right? And I feel like it would mean more to him than anyone else, or maybe like Corey as well, because he's put in the work. But, you know, like he just hasn't done it yet. Lena saying, I just don't believe people like him. Brittany, so emotionally, it's hard for some to consider him the GOAT, but he is well-rounded. Yeah, I mean, a GOAT can be a lot of different things. Like statistically, championships, give it to the guy. Like, And I don't always know if recency bias should be taken into account when it comes to, like, he's done what he's done before on the show and should always be looked up to. But it does remind me a little bit of that high school football player that never really achieved anything after high school, and then they come back and tell people about how great they were back in the day this season. But again, the guy's made a lot of finals, even recently, so he's not doing too bad for someone that's in, I believe, his 40s now. So let's move on a little bit to the deliberation and the strategy that was used here by the end of it, with Theo and Jenny going back to their team to say, hey, let's make a choice out of this. Theo obviously trying to share the blame just in case any of the fallback comes back his way. And then I thought it was kind of interesting to see who fell for it and who didn't fall for it, right? Immediately, Devin was like, something's not right here. Something smells fishy. And Corey, on the other hand, man, did he bite onto that. Like, he went bananas at Josh. Like, it was like, I love Corey. Corey's an amazing character, but he's not the sharpest tool in the shed when it comes to these social strategic games. Like, he did not pick up on the fact that it was like, I understood Josh's case here. It was a non-choice. Maybe Josh should have just still had his back, and it would have been better 100% to do that. Like, bad on Josh as well.
Why.
Yeah, bad on Josh as well. But
I think you're right. If it really was a true non-choice, if Josh knew that, and that's what he was saying to Corey, he's like, it's not. I couldn't have done anything. Theo wasn't good. Yeah. By the way, when he called Theo out on it, and Theo didn't say anything, he just shut up.
Hilarious. Brilliant. Yeah, he's like, I'm not talking.
He's like, maybe. Corey's like, maybe you might have, but yeah, like for them to play it that way, like Corey just hook, line, and sinker, just straight in, like no chance of believing anything other than. But it was Josh's chance there. If there was really no chance to change Theo's mind, then he could have at least said it for the sake of getting my name on paper. Like, I did back you up, Corey. I swear, I couldn't do anything. I tried real hard. Theo was not budging, but I tried, right? And he can't.
What would have been the downside? What would have been the downside to Josh if he did speak up for Corey, his friend Corey here? What would have been the fallout that Josh was so scared of?
I don't know.
I don't think there was anything, which makes it look even worse.
Because Theo and Jenny would have done it anyway, right? Yeah. I don't think they were going to vote with the team.
What's the upside?
Corey.
The upside is Theo is forced to show his hand. He's forced to show his hand and do whatever he wants. So then they could be like, well, it was on Theo. So I feel like he misplayed this so badly.
From Casey as well, then.
Yeah, Casey is like, for the first time, I'm getting the Challenge World Championship vibes from her. She's going to be, I feel like, in a world of hurt very soon, because Tori looked at this and she's like, well, Corey wasn't like that tight with me. Like, Corey's like an affiliate of the Vacation Alliance. We spoke about it last week. Corey's too cool to hang out with the Vacation Alliance. He doesn't want to be associated with him. He does his own thing, which I fully appreciate and understand. But she's kind of looking at it at the moment, and it's like, if they can turn their back on him so quickly and on this era, I don't know if I can trust them in this game. I don't know if they're going to move with me. And they're starting to lose Tori. If they lose Tori, Devin will turn on them. Devin's going to put the pressure on to go after Bananas. Josh is going to try and save Bananas because for some other reason, he now wants to be besties with Bananas. And it's just going to drive that witch into the Vacation Alliance. Like, I feel like that's why I'm excited to see how the season's going to play out moving forward. Like, I see the Vacation Alliance kind of imploding.
I don't, because I think if it was Tori or Devin, it wouldn't have been an issue. It's because Corey is expendable to them, right? Like, even Casey and Josh, like Corey was going at Josh, but like, he was right. Like, Corey's like, you've only ever saved me, did something for me once when it was because of Fessy. Like, they're banging on because they literally have done seasons together, but they haven't ever really worked together, have they? They've never really been, especially Casey as well. Like, I've never seen Casey and Corey be.
I think Corey got that loyalty kind of connection with Josh because of Fessy. Fessy and Corey are really the two that are close.
Yeah.
And he kind of even spoke to that. He's like, the only time you had my back in this game was because of Fessy. You've never actually had my back in this game.
Yeah, so why is he getting upset then?
Yeah, Corey should learn from this 100%, and he should get other friends. Like, I mean, Corey could have kept. Who did he vote against for this Vacation Alliance in the beginning? He voted against Tony, and who else was the other person? Oh no, Tony threw himself in. Forgot about that. It was a bad move. Yeah. No, I don't know. I just feel like a lot of bad gameplay at this moment. Lena saying the death of the Vacation Alliance. That's what we're hoping for here. King Cash is also saying Corey was right. If you're my real friend, call their bluff. Brittany saying it's crazy how Joss keeps making mistakes and betraying friends, but never faces any consequences. King Cash is saying Casey finally exposed as a mid-game player. Ouch, that hurts, King Cash. Then saying Brittany, yes, I was wondering the same thing. Yeah, Joss seems to always just get away with these things. I'm not sure.
It's because he's an idiot.
People feel sorry for him. Like,
no, it's because he's not. People don't see him as a genuine threat or anything real in the game. Like Devon, the way we talked last week about how there seems to be a bit of a ceasefire between a Bananas, a Jordan, a Devon, and it feels like it's like Josh is never in that conversation. Like he's even tried to build it up. And they're like, they don't see him on the same level. They don't look at him in the same way. That's why he also doesn't cop the flack, because he just does another Josh thing. He's the goof. He's the idiot that keeps making mistakes. He's overly emotional. He cries. He's, let me talk. And so you can't take that seriously. Like when my toddler got a hold of some bottle of detergent from the laundry and it ended up all the way down our hallway, right? And my wife was pissed. I was pissed too. But at the end of the day, I went, he's 2. Like, what do we expect from him? And I feel like that's how people think of Josh. He doesn't get in trouble because he's 2. That's the thing with Josh.
See you, Dana. Thank you for checking the live out. We appreciate it. Yeah, totally agree with you on that. Let's get into the actual arena. So obviously with the arena, they had blind boxing, being blindfolded. Rachel had to go up against Avery, and Derek and Corey finally got that matchup that they were looking for after the blow up at the Daily, where it looked like they were going to go blow for blow, get to fists. Really appreciated the fact that it didn't get there. It shows the maturity and how much these two individuals have grown up. I think Derek was ready for it. Like, Derek is old school, but Corey was like, I got too much to lose out of this. Like, Derek's already on his way out. Like, I've at least got another 10 seasons ahead of me. I need to not, like, he's the one who walked away. And that's when Derek got pissed off and threw the live vest at him, life jacket.
Corey started it though, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Do you think Derek,
Corey was heated because of the toss, mate? Like, when you're doing something like that, it's like when you play a rugby game, right? Or American football or something. The testosterone is high. It's like, did you watch UFC at all? Did you watch it? Did you see the fight? Did you see the fight where Dricus Du Plessis, the middleweight champion, he won his fight, and then the Israel Adesanya came into the ring straight afterwards to be in his face and talk to him. And I was just thinking to myself, as someone that has competed, that have done karate before and have been in those, the adrenaline is so high. It's the worst time to come at someone straight after a fight because dumb things can happen. And this is exactly what was happening here. Like, Corey was pumped, and he was like at that level. And then obviously Derek's not going to stand back. So, but it did make for a very awesome moment with seeing the two of them go head to head. But obviously we started with the women. So I want to talk about the women first. When Rachel said that she had background in karate, immediately I was like, okay, well, I've really liked Rachel this season. I'm even more connected as someone that's done karate for many years as well. I was like, I love this. And one of the things that, I don't know if it was the same for Rachel, I don't know what styles she trained in, but because different styles can be like baseball and cricket, could be that different from each other. A lot of people just think karate is one blanket thing, but it's different styles is different. We actually used to get trained blindfolded. They would train us to simulate being like, if something happened in the middle of the night and you had to defend yourself in pitch black, you need to be able to move, right?
Blind Fury.
Yeah.
So did you do the thing where you strap chickens to your feet as well?
Nah. But I was just thinking to myself, if she went for any similar kind of training to this, like, she had such an upper hand going into this thing, right? Like, in being able to keep composed. She said she did competitions when she was younger and things like that. She looked good. I was expecting her at some point to actually put Avery on her ass, to be honest, because even though you got that hit gear, you can still knock someone out.
I didn't think it was fair, first of all, that Avery was told different rules to everyone else. Because apparently they told Avery you're not allowed to move, which I thought was really weird.
Really?
Well, no, but she did not move. And I'm like, why is she just standing there? Like, are you allowed to move? Like, is she thinking, like, what is happening? Why is she just taking? And then I figured, like, being someone who's done martial arts, I haven't been in a lot of fights in my life, but I do know that you get punched in the face and you're like, and they start just standing still, like covering up, ball, whatever it is. You're just in that, like, holy crap, I'm in instinctive survival mode. And she's not really thinking strategically. She's just like, I'm getting.
I can't remember who said it, but it's a famous boxer who said everybody has a plan until they get hit in the face.
Get punched in the face. That's Mike Tyson.
Yeah, Mike Tyson. I feel like it was. And then your knees go weak. You don't know what to do. It's you get a fight or flight reaction in these moments, and clearly
she didn't fight or flight. She stayed still.
Yeah, she had a freeze reaction to this.
Yeah,
and
like
she clearly she said she does boxing. She does boxing, but listen, I was gonna say, Avery, like doing fitness yoga boxing where you just punch air, like it's not the same as actually sparring with someone. It's very different. She got found out a little bit in this one.
You know what was funny about this though? Have you actually seen, like, this is like a Japanese game show meme type thing.
Oh, really?
Like, have you seen it? Yeah, look. Hang on.
I can see that.
Just
probably
YouTube,
won't share it.
Chicken, dude, blindfold chicken. Screaming chicken. Blindfold screaming chicken.
Okay, let me see what we can find. Blindfold screaming chicken. Is this from an actual game show?
I mean, they do it constantly.
And this is an actual TV show or something?
No, probably not TV show, or maybe a trend, or like a TikTok trend or something. But this is where they stole it from.
Okay. This I don't know if this is I don't know if we should even. This looks painful. They've got like a belt that they're hitting them with. Is that it?
It's whatever it is, a belt, a stick, or blah blah blah. But it's pretty funny.
No.
But I just think it's funny that they copied it.
No, but I trust you. I trust you. Let's see what Brittany's saying. Yeah, you're right, Kahuna. In Avery's exit interview, she said she was told that she couldn't cover anything up, so she got confused and didn't make a plan. Yeah, very strange. King Cass saying, crawl away like your life depends on it at that point. She was good at fighting during the real world. Right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's why Naya said she's got a mean punch, because I think Naya copped one from Avery.
Yeah, I didn't watch the real world, so see, that's where it's over my head. But yeah, I thought it was fun. I thought it was a very fun elimination. A lot of color whenever they hit those specific pressure points, and you saw the big bags of whatever they had, the powder. Bolts. Yeah, I thought it was good. And then obviously you had Corey and Derek, which, you know, the Rachel one from the start, I could tell that she smashed it, right?
Yeah,
because there was nothing left afterwards. They did a very quick flash. Like there was one point where she still Avery still had like a bunch of spots that weren't hit. And then they flashed back to the end and you could see they were all gone. And we missed it in between. And then they very quickly moved on to Rachel. And I was like, oh, she's in trouble. And then obviously very one-sided, knew Rachel was going to win. I don't think we were ever in doubt. Then we had the whole Corey and Derek one. And I do want to say one thing. What a matchup between them. Both of them being able to smash every single one of those points. But it was a massive advantage for whoever got to be the evader on the second round. Can you think why, Kahuna?
Tired?
You just got smacked in the head consistently.
Multiple
times.
True.
And then you have to put blindfolds on. You're probably going to be a little bit... I don't know, but you're probably going to be a bit disorientated after getting smacked in the head so many times. Like, you know, and now you've got to go and punch afterwards. So Derek really worked at, I feel like, two disadvantages. He was hopping on one leg the whole time, did his best, and then had to go second with the punches and still managed to get all of them.
So looking at the game, at the elimination, what's the meta here? How do you approach this?
So for me, looking at this, it was my brain was hurting because I was thinking to myself, it's like in karate, you learn to parry punches. So I would have been trying to parry it, but I don't know if it was in the rules that they weren't allowed to do it. If they were not.
That's what I want to know, the rules, because I'm grabbing, I'm holding them, and I'm sitting on them.
Well, I will say one thing. I wouldn't have liked being able, just to get punched without being able to defend myself. I would not like that. So I wouldn't punch, but I would want to block or move someone's energy in a different direction.
Right? Like clinch?
Grapple. Yeah. And well, if you look at Corey kind of did it a couple of times where Derek was hitting him, he would run into him.
Yeah.
And it wasn't stopped, right? And it threw Derek off his balance every single time he did that, which would have had an effect on the time that it took for Derek to hit all of those spots, right? So, and Derek didn't have that same strategy. Derek was just trying to survive, using the rope to kind of move around as much as he could. But yeah, I think it's not an easy
Take his
challenge
back.
to do. Yeah. Let's
his
look
back.
at what people are saying.
Just grab their back. They can't they're trying to get you behind.
Brittany says Rachel beats all the females in the house in this. I totally agree. Brittany says Derek basically threw his entire body at Corey. Very smart. King Cash is saying Corey looked like he was holding Derek in place while hitting him.
That's the approach. You got to hold him, and then just rub it along, get all of them, just hold him, go like that.
Yeah. The best moment definitely of the whole arena was the end of it, where Corey and Derek did embrace, and Corey, humble in victory, obviously saying to him, like, listen, you're a champion, you're a warrior. This was a close one. Could have gone either way. I thought that was really, really admirable to see. Like, the way that you act when you are winning, I think is so important. And what a great moment between two absolute warriors there, Kahuna.
That was like that was those are the moments that it's like, as a super toxic male, you're allowed to cry. Like they're the sports where I was like, man, that got me. I'm like, I like seeing that.
Yeah.
That's like, the moments where it's like men can have emotions is the only time after you beat someone in a fight or at the end of a sports match is when men are allowed to cry, apparently. And they showed a lot of respect. I really appreciated that, especially when there was heat. There was a bit of bitterness between them, especially because, like you said, Corey was so heated, and they got like post-match clarity and kind of went, the fact that Derek even said, "Thank you for the opportunity." Like,
I thought it was amazing. The respect
really
and the respect and the honor between the two there. Clearly, there's something that I think you just understand. You see it in other sports as well, which I know like people don't like the challenge to be compared to a sport. But when you've gone head to head with the best and you put it all out there, there is a level of respect afterwards, and you actually even give respect to the opponent that gave you the opportunity to compete. So I thought it was beautiful. Definitely rooting for Corey even more so after this. And this is why I'm saying, like, I think Corey is someone that I would like, I'd love to see him get it. Like, and he's gotten better at a lot of other things. Like, he's getting better at the puzzles. He's working on it. Being a dad has helped him. So he does the puzzles with his daughters, right? Or daughter. Yeah. So I think that's really, really admirable. And Lan saying, yes, starting to root for Corey even more so. Lena saying, class act. King Cash is saying, on a side note, Nelson's got that dog in him. Definitely. I mean, the comeback journey that he's in, he has to have it, like he has to have that. Brittany's saying appreciative of Corey, but I think he was moved by how great Derek did despite his injury. You should definitely tip your hat to him. And even when Derek was like, head down, he was like, no, get your head up. You did well. Be proud. This was a close one, Brittany's saying, agree, Chris. It was such a vet moment. Yeah, they argue, but once the game is over, they're over it and they move on. Exactly. No drama, no BS, no Twitter wars afterwards or X wars and all this kind of nonsense that we see from the new school. They just don't breed them like that anymore. We had someone earlier say, Kahuna, that we should get a newbie like Tina, and I didn't actually bring up the comments. So I don't remember who said it. But again, we're living in a new generation of people now that they're not bred like Tina. Like, there's not, and I don't even know if, like, where do you find someone like Tina? Kahuna, where do you find them? We don't have the real world. We don't have road rules where they used to get these people from. So I don't know what show is casting for people like that.
It's just a different generation. Anyone that you find now for a show like this has come through not only whatever show they recruited them out of, but has had the last 10, 15 years of social media, of being on TikTok, of being a image to the public. And I feel like young people going forward are just going to be way more polished as far as their public image goes, because they also know what comes back to them. They also know you get cancelled 10 years after the fact. They also know that the next generation will look at what you did today and go, ooh, that wasn't great. And I feel like the people today have that in mind, that they're trained and bred and honed in a very different world to what
Well,
gave us
Kay is kind of
Athena.
making us both look dumb because Kay's saying Love Island. And I do remember we spoke about challenges from the USA that have made it over to the main show, and Kylan being the only one. Another one that comes to mind that stands out that I think would be a great addition to the main show is Cachet from that season as well. I don't know if you remember her, but she was one of those people that for me just really a bright spark on the show. She was there with her ex on that season.
Yeah.
And just a lot of fun. Like she had a really fun personality. I think she's currently on a different show. I saw something where she was casted somewhere else, but yeah, there's definitely still people out there. I just don't know if the production team's looking at the right places for these people at the moment. However, this is the end
It's
of
also
the
because
podcast.
they go to
Yeah.
the Survivors and the Amazing Races and the Big Brothers of the world, not to the Love Islands and Are You the Ones and all that anymore. You know what I mean? It's a different pool that they're drafting from.
Yeah, they're trying to look for the competitors for the competitive side of it, the strategy, and then the physical side of things. But I do think that if you invest, like look at someone like Devin, who came from Are You the One? You know, he's become a competitor, he's become a champion. You could build someone up. But everybody, it is getting late on the side here. We are going to close it off. Thank you so much for everybody that jumped on really early over in the States. We really, really appreciate the love and support that you guys give us every single week when we talk about one of our favorite shows. Potentially now my favorite show in the US, because I just feel like Survivor hasn't, like this week wasn't too bad, but it's not hitting it for me like the challenge every week, you know? So I'm always happy to talk about the challenge when I do get to talk about it here on the channel. Dolores, hello and goodbye at the same time. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you do check out the content and let us know what you thought of our thoughts for this episode. If you love the content, subscribe, hit the like button, put some notes down below. Let us know what your thoughts are on this season so far. Who are you rooting for now that we're getting closer and closer to the mid-season point of the Challenge 40? I'd love to hear from you. But for now, we're going to say goodbye. We will be back next week to talk about all of the action, same time, same place. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good day wherever you are in the world, and we'll catch you guys next week. Bye.